Good afternoon, Dr. Ayerson.
Good afternoon, Stanley Jr. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Today we are going to be interviewing you on your last book, which was The Pandemic Warrior. So our first question, Dr. Ayerson, what inspired you to write this book?
Little boys and girls like you inspired me to write this. I kept on coming across little boys and girls who were worried about what was going on, and they kept asking, when is this going to be over? And even though as an adult I can't see when it will be over, at least I can encourage little boys and girls to figure out what weapons they have at their disposal to be able to fight the pandemic.
Okay. For the second question, are there any characters inspired by real people?
Yes, I think almost all of them are inspired by real people because, as you said, I'm the principal of a school. So I go into classrooms all the time. Little kids are talking to me, big kids are talking to me, and adults as well. So I know counselors who are just as smart as Mr. Samoa is. I know little boys and girls like Jesua. And, Jesua had king fish. Do you like king fish?
Yeah.
See, there you go. So it is inspired by someone like you and what you like to eat as well. So Grace's story is really our story, right? Everybody can find themselves in that story.
Okay. For the third question, would you like to publish a comic?
Would I like to publish a comic? I would, because I know it's another art form, and I know there are lots of children, especially boys, who like comics, right? Do you like comics?
Very much.
Oh, I'm sure you do. The only thing is that I can't draw. So I would have to look for someone to draw for me, which is not very hard, right?
Yeah.
It's not very hard to find someone who can draw and to translate my words into something. So you know what? You've given me a challenge. I might do that next and write a comic that's dedicated to Stan Jr. How about that?
Okay. Where do you get your ideas?
I get my ideas from just all around me, right? Like right now, you've just given me an idea, right?
Yeah.
You just asked a question and suddenly I'm thinking, ooh, wouldn't it be great to write a comic book, right? So my ideas are from all around. I see stuff that either makes me happy, makes me sad, brings out a certain emotion, and then I think to myself, I need to make this into a story so that others can read it.
Okay. What advice do you have for young writers?
Wow, don't stop writing, right? Sometimes you write and you're a bit shy to show it to other people. You're afraid of being criticized. But I think the more you write and you have others look at your work and to tell you what it looks like and what it sounds like, whether it has a voice, the better you can become, right? So don't stop writing and don't be afraid to share your work so that you can get some constructive criticism. Are you a writer yourself, Stan?
A bit.
A bit? I would love to see some of what you've written. Can you show me?
Okay.
All right. I look forward to it.
What is your favorite childhood book?
My favorite childhood book? Oh gosh, I think I would have to say 2 books. Is that all right?
Yes.
One of them is a series. Actually, 3 books. 3 books I can think of. I like The Adventures of Winnie the Pooh just because he's quite silly, but he's loving. And all the stuff he says. You like him as well?
Yes. He's adventurous.
He is adventurous and he's got really great friends. And they're grumpy sometimes and they're happy sometimes, right? Just like all our friends. And then I love The Adventures of Narnia. C.S. Lewis's books, right?
Yeah.
I love all of them. I love the adventure. I love the make-believe. I love the fact that it's so imaginative. So I've read all the Narnia books and I still have them on my shelf. And every so often I pick them up. And then the third one I would say is I Capture the Castle by Dodie Smith. So have you read 101 Dalmatians?
Yes.
Wonderful.
I've watched the movie.
You've watched the movie. Well, it was written by Dodie Smith. And she has a book called I Capture the Castle. And I love it. And I love it so much that I'm writing a book for adults. And it's called I Almost Capture the Castle. So I'm being a little bit cheap there because my favorite story is I Capture the Castle and I'm writing I Almost Capture the Castle. So it's a play on the title of one of my favorite books. So those would be my 3 books.
Okay. Are some of your books based on childhood experiences or real life experiences?
Yes, I think many of them Many of them are based on childhood experiences. I've got Tuesday's Child, that's a memoir. So it tells the story of from the time that I was a baby all the way up. Of course, I can't remember when I was a year old, but I asked people who knew me when I was 1, and then I wove a story into that. And then I've got Sewakoto's Diary, which is for maybe 16 years old and above. And Sewakoto's Diary is about a girl growing up in Canada. She's got Ghanaian parents, but for all intents and purposes, she's Canadian. And so that struggle between her Canadian self and the Ghanaian self. And that was inspired by young girls in my youth group at church and some of the things I used to hear them talk about. So those are two that just come to mind, but all my stories have to do with a little piece of me. There's a little piece of me that comes into it.
Thank you for having us here, Dr. Ayerson.
Thank you so much, Stanley. And you know, because you're such a pandemic warrior, I have a little gift for you. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
So the first one is a face mask that's got warrior on it. Okay? And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this so that you can put this on yourself. Okay? Why don't you put this on top of the mask that you have? All right. I'm going to put one on myself. All right. And you got to pull it down just a little bit. It's a bit bunched up. There we go. And then look at what I got for you. A cape. Just like Grace. All right. So that cape goes around you. All right. Like this. And that makes you a pandemic warrior. What do you think?
Great.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed this interview, and I hope that you continue to be such an enigmatic young man, an interesting young man who reads a lot as well. All right? So all the best, Stanley.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.